again, Clarence, you kind of said Cowboys think this is going to be bad probably, and it sounds like this is going to be bad probably.
Yeah, and we're still waiting, at least as of this morning, waiting the results of the MRI. But immediately after the game, they were fearing the worst, fearing that, obviously towards ACL in his left leg last year, missed his entire rookie season. This one is more than ACL. They think it's multiple ligaments, and that's what they fear. And you add in multiple ligaments, with obviously Jerry Jones acknowledged this morning he's going to have surgery, major surgery, to repair that knee. And you add the multiple ligaments with the time of the year. He may not be back to 2026.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine.
2026.
That's what I would imagine.
And for all the hope, no one thought this was going to be a playoff season, but you were looking for things bright spots to take it to the next season. There was no bigger bright spot than DeMarvion Overshown. And, especially after him missing his entire rookie season, to come out and be the player, the impact player he was, the possibilities of what he and Micah could be as a tandem this year and going forward, it allowed you to dream about the possibilities. And, his athleticism, his speed. So the news of him being hurt was just devastating to everybody in the locker room last night. And Eric Kendricks to Micah Parsons said it made him reduce into tears. Kendricks was emotional. They were talking about how it just wasn't fair. And it's not just because he was a great player. It's because of the person he was and the joy he had for the game and what he brought to the locker room and all of that stuff. They truly loved him. They call him Cowboy. He just enjoyed playing football. He enjoyed being there. And then you watch the way he plays with such excitement, and so it was just a huge setback last night.
Yeah, I'm disgusted.
When we sit on in this panel and many other shows that we do, and we have these joking conversations. Well, some of us have it joking. Some of us really mean it.
But about losing games?
About losing
I
games.
absolutely want them to lose games, yes.
And when I sit here and I tell you that, that's okay for you to think about that. And that's fine.
I'm not out there. They obviously can't think that way.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you have people in the locker room who you don't know when your last play is
right.
And for DeMarvion Overshown, I think we all will agree that we are and have the same sentiments, is that we want to see him have a full recovery.
Right.
But you don't know.
No.
And when you start talking about ligaments and stuff like that, you need that stuff to rejuvenate. You need that stuff to kind of start firing again. And if it doesn't, bye-bye to your football career. And so that's a real serious thing that he has to think about. Now, I'm no medical doctor, but when you start talking about this being more than just a simple ACL tear, when you start getting to the real crust of this thing, these are the type of career-ending injuries that a player can have. And so when you say, just lose the game or tank or do this kind of stuff like that, and I think one of the reasons why you saw guys like Micah and Kendricks, when you've been around the game for a while, sometimes the business, the fans of football can zap the joy out of you.
Right.
It really can. The joy of football can be zapped out of you by the losing, all the stuff that's surrounding. It can just zap the joy out of you.
By Captain Thunder.
By Captain Thunder. I mean, he's a joy zapper. He's a guy who steals energy. And when you insert a guy like DeMarvion, who is a light,
right?
And that's when you see guys react that way, it ain't got nothing to do with football. Yeah, you want to have him out there on your football team, but when that kid brings a joy to the game, that a guy like Kendricks, who's been around for 10 years, goes, man, I remember that joy. Like he reminds me of who I was 10 years ago. Same thing for Mike. I know he's still kind of on the younger side of things, but that's who I was.
Right. I agree.
Like that energy, that passion, that enthusiasm, that type of stuff, you look for that, especially when you're in these moments of kind of despair, when your season isn't going the way that you expected it to go. And so for him to be lost in a manner in which he was lost, it's I mean, I try to say it all the time, but you just never know when that last play is going to be for you.
No, and that's why I was talking about even last week when everybody's talking about Zach Martin. Zach Martin wants to play on the field because you don't know what these moments are special for you. And that's why I don't like to talk about tanking. And when you talk about the business of the game, because, tanking is from a franchise standpoint, it's the right thing to do. But for these players, this is their livelihood. This is their contract. They're playing for their futures. They're not going to not try to play. You know, whether it's a DeMarvion Overshown or the AO or whatever else, this is all they got. This is all they know. They've been playing this game, since they were kids. And you love DeMarvion because he just plays it like a kid. I mean, he has the exuberance, the joy that he plays it with, and it's just so devastating. So devastating, when you see something like that happen to him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disgusted, guys. I mean, I was struggling last night. I was struggling today. Obviously, like you guys know, I am a veteran, and I experienced similar things to what he is going through. It sounds like ligaments. That stuff turns into nerves and stuff sometimes, and like that changed my life drastically. And that's honestly how I kind of relate to some of the players in the locker room, is the rehab process, what that's like, how you have to go through that. And I remember with DeMarvion Overshown, during his recovery, I got to catch up with him several times during the draft season because I'm there for the draft show. You just see him out there working. You just see him out there busting his tail. And coming into this season, obviously a lot of people were like, he's coming off ACL. This is a linebacker. One of the things that he thrives off of is his speed, change of direction. And so you were worried, is that going to factor in? Is that going to change? And the work that he showed, like the work that he put in is why. When you see him on the field, you've seen him on the field this year, it's hard to remember. Like, you got to remind yourself, this guy's coming off ACL playing like this. And something about him, his spirit, how he carries himself is special. It just is, like you guys are talking about. And so I had high hopes for him this season. I thought he was going to come play kind of how he is playing. And so to y'all's point about being sad about what's going on, like, I'm gutted for the person, because this is, to your point, Clarence, this is, and to your point, Jesse, this is a life-changing injury. And what I mean by that is, like, if he does recover, come back and play, stuff like this lingers with you through your life, so it's the repercussions, and it, again, is just a reminder of how serious this game is and the effect that it can have on guys. I get guys being hurt. I've been sick all morning, so this is a tough conversation to be having at this point in the season.
Football is a 100% hurt business. Like, legitimately, you're not
never
playing
healthy.
This game and not be hurt.
Right.
It's always about the extent of it. And one of the things that I always say, that sometimes this game takes from you more than you're willing to give, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
And yes, people will say, well, why do it? Like Clarence was just saying, there's something that all these guys know, but this game is very, very, very unforgiving, and it is a hurt business. It's just about how much.
I think the culmination of kind of all of these things is what gives him a chance. Like, I think that this would be, for a guy who just tore an ACL and now maybe blew out everything in a different opposite knee, right?
Opposite knee.
Opposite knee. I think in a lot of cases that could be a good luck. Like, you're not coming back from this. But I do think there are different sorts of people.
Yeah.
And this might sound like taking shots, and I guess I don't actually care. But it's like that everywhere in the world, right? There's things that you're good at, and some people love what they do and are super passionate about it, and some people are like, hell yeah, this will make me enough money for me to live my life. That's great. And he sure seems like a guy that has the work ethic, the love for it, the passion for it, having come back so well from a first injury. I've seen him on Twitter.
He
literally
was on Twitter like,
after the game, wouldn't want this for anyone else. One of God's toughest soldiers. Keep me in your prayers. And then this morning, somebody didn't even tag him, which means he's searching his name. DeMarvion, stop doing that. I woke up and the first thing I thought was hoping DeMarvion Overshown doesn't become one of the greatest what-if stories of all time. And he replied, guarantee I won't. So like there are absolutely dudes that get hurt and they don't come back as well from an injury. And a lot of times it's because they're not really about that life. They're good at the sport.
Yeah,
he attacked you last time.
But you're good. But you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. And
I didn't guarantee it. That's what gives him a chance.
No, I give it to you. You don't know. And his speed, change direction, that's all part of his game. Listen, Jalen Smith worked hard, okay?
Jalen Smith's nerves were shot when he came to the league.
But because of the injury. I'm just saying he worked hard, okay? It never came back. And you don't know. And I know people don't like to talk about the money. He's never getting paid.
I mean, unless he comes back and plays really good football in 2026.
Yeah, but then you say, well, you got 2 injuries. You know, there's a ceiling on how much I'm going to pay you. I mean, he's never going to get the big money contract.
Well, look, I don't know.
And I know people
don't know. The Cowboys gave Terrence Steele. The Cowboys gave
Jalen Smith couldn't lift a foot, and he got $11 million a year.
Maybe they learned the lesson. I'm just saying, though, the idea.
Steele, Smith. What was the receiver? Michael Gallup.
I agree.
There are 5 or 6 guys.
Lyle Collins.
No, I'm just saying that.
Sorry, they gave Barry Church a deal off of tearing an Achilles. They pay injured players.
This is 2 knee injuries. I'm just saying. I mean,
they pay injured
for a
players.
guy, yes, you play for the love of the game. You also play for, to set your family up for lifetime money. I mean, that, all of this stuff. And he was tracking, if he continues, Pro Bowl player, All-Pro player, that type of career he was going to have, he could have had a real payday. I don't know if he's ever going to get that.
We all silly like the mayor.